Previously on the AppleInsider Podcast, after months of rumours about the iPhone 17, we learnt everything. Now, it's time for rumours of the iPhone 18 already. Hello, welcome to the AppleInsider Podcast. I'm William Gallagher. Our sponsors this week are OpenCase and Clean My Mac from MacPaw. More about both of those later. And I'm joined by Wes Hilliard, who, unlike me, is sitting by his front door waiting for parcels to arrive. Actually, I've got to say, Wes, I've lost track. I know you're getting the phone. Run through the list. What is your local courier company bringing to you as we talk?
Well, as we record, it's Thursday, so I'm actually going to get my Nomad
Ruin
leather
the
back.
image. Okay.
Yes. So the Nomad leather back is arriving today. I'm very excited for my Note case. And then tomorrow, I will be getting the iPhone 17 Pro Max in deep blue, 1 terabyte. I'm getting the Apple Watch Ultra 3 in black, and I'm getting the AirPods Pro 3 in the infinite white color they will refuse to ever do anything other than.
Fair enough. I read something the other day, a reviewer complaining that Apple hadn't sent him the orange iPhone 17 Max. They'd only sent him a blue one and a white one. I think, my heart bleeds for you.
Right.
But, okay. I am genuinely curious now. I wasn't last week, but this week I am, to see the orange one in person, because everybody who has it seems to love it, and I can't conceive of why. It looks horrible. But you know.
If you like orange, it's very eye-catching. Every video I've seen of it, it's like it encapsulates the design language in a way that the other colors don't. The silver's a bit dull. The deep blue hides everything because it's basically black. So the orange really highlights the design of the phone because you can see everything. Like you can see the contrast and the colors and the antenna lines and everything like that. And it's a really good flagship. Apple did a good job making a poster boy. So.
All right, but it's orange. I did notice that Tim Cook, for all him saying, I remember a couple of years ago, he was so clever about how answering which iPhone he got. He managed to make it sound like he got all of them. And then this year, he made it sound like he'd have the Air and one of the others, but he's sporting the orange Max, we now see. So, well, as long as he's happy. I guess he probably got one for free, don't you think? But everyone else has been paying, which means pre-orders. Isn't it? They seem to go rather well. Anything. Not a single thing. No.
See, funny enough, one of our staff members was commenting, like, for some reason my Apple Watch Ultra is coming on, like, October 3rd, and we were like, yeah, because you could pre-order it on Tuesday.
Yes.
Oops. So, yes, I knew that was going to happen, so I immediately ordered the AirPods and Apple Watch Ultra day of. And that silly MagSafe battery pack, which I got after we recorded last week, so I want to talk about it today. We'll get to that. And then Friday morning, woke up, rolled straight into pre-orders, as you do. Got in at 8:01, pretty quick. 3 taps, because my Citizens Loan, the Apple iPhone upgrade program, was already approved. My colors was picked. All I had to do was open the Apple Store app, and it said, hey, you're here for iPhone pre-orders. Hit OK. And you hit OK, and it says, is this your device? Yep. And you're done. It's literally 3 buttons. And I immediately, it said, you have checked out at 8:02 a.m. Your delivery date is September 25th. And I'm like, why? What happened? And then the whole internet, and this happened last year, and I completely memory wiped it, but now that I'm talking about it, I feel like we had this exact same discussion. Everyone on the internet said, September 25th. I'm like, wait a minute. This is clearly not everyone's getting this phone on September 25th. And I looked into it. Everyone who said they got September 25th did financing, and everyone who said September 19th paid outright or used a different financing system. So.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, different pots. Okay.
Then later in the day, about 5 p.m., so this is East Coast time, so 8 a.m. is when I ordered. 5 p.m., I get an email. Your delivery date has been updated to September 19th. And I'm like, oh, thank God. Because,
yes.
It's not, okay, part of it is, yes, I need the thing on the day. I'm a nerd and I love this stuff and I want to be part of that zeitgeist. It's a lot of fun. But also, I got to get a review done. I got to test this thing, and I got plans to test it. Right, we're going to Asheville this weekend, North Carolina. It's a beautiful area full of like beautiful like shops and buildings, and I wish we could go to Biltmore, but I looked into it. There's this estate there. There's like the largest home in America or something with like 60 fireplaces and 40 bedrooms. I don't know. It's some ridiculous number.
Typical British house, really.
Yeah.
But okay, yeah.
Yeah, so you have to pay $100 per person to visit the estate. We're okay. We'll go to a cafe. It's fine. But we're going to be testing the iPhone Pro Max and the iPhone Air out and about in Asheville this weekend. And I'm like, this device has to arrive or it's wasted.
Yes.
So thankfully, it all got updated, and I'm getting all of my things by Friday evening.
I'd like to just point out, although I didn't order anything, I was writing about it, watching to see which ones backordered and all this stuff, and so I can tell you that it was something like, I think it was 1 p.m. here, I get mixed up in the time zones, it was like 1:08 p.m. before you could get into it in the UK. People were saying different things. Some people here in the country got in faster than me, but only just. So it's interesting, isn't it? You expect a worldwide system to be working worldwide, but I don't think it's ever opened up on time for it, even after all these years. But then, I think much more
Apple
urgently,
I don't think it's I don't think it's a time thing. I think Apple does it on purpose. I think they do region time sync type stuff. This area gets it first, this area gets it second, and then like they probably have, and it's not like, oh, everyone in New York gets to order an iPhone and everyone else has to wait. Apple probably, they've had more than, what, now we're pushing 20 years to figure this out. The way it probably works is they have set inventories for each region, and as each region comes online, that region basically drains until it runs out. And then once you get past a certain pre-order window, if you pre-order in Brazil, you might get a phone that was destined originally for Argentina or something. You know what I mean? It's probably a smart way of doing it, but it does create a little bit of chaos because the nerds are just like, why can't I get in at 7:59? So,
speaking of nerds, though, I think you have reached I'm going to call it a high. You've reached a new high for me. You want to talk about the iPhone Air MagSafe battery that you got last week without having the iPhone Air that it attaches to. So, apart from the colour, what can you tell us about this?
Well, I want to get into I want to do MagSafe battery, but then I want to bounce back to iPhone 17 just for a moment, but because I have a little bit more to say. But I do have the iPhone Air clear case from Apple, so I can attach the battery to the empty MagSafe case and pretend that I'm
sorry, this is so sad. Okay.
Just quietly in my office thinking about it. No, it's
okay.
It's actually really interesting though because the case is so just thin. It's actually quite incredible. Very excited to play with this phone, but which I'm not going to be using. It's going to be my fiance's, as I've mentioned before. By the way, after a whole year of being a fiance, I did not know that you had to do an E or two E's depending on who you were talking about. So that's interesting.
Wes Hilliard, I am shocked at you.
Vocabulary.
Just don't ask me to remember which way round it is. Double E is for women, single E is for men, I think.
Yes.
But I'm suddenly not sure. It's been a
little
while longer for me than you.
I feel like it's an old-fashioned thing. I just defaulted to one E anytime I typed it out, and no one corrected me, so maybe it's just a dead thing, or maybe I'm just ignorant. But anyway,
one of the points... Apple Intelligence would have sorted that out from the context of who you were typing to and who you were typing about. No. Your phone letting you down. There.
ChatGPT.
I'm trying so hard not to ask this, but I'm going to. You said that you attached the MagSafe battery to the case. Mm-hmm. The case is just a clear, plastic case, and there's no magnets in that as well, or is there?
Oh yeah, no, it's a MagSafe case.
Okay, so
clear plastic
you had
with
that
magnets.
Satisfying ktung as they stuck together.
Well, here's what's funny is
I'm not judging, but okay, yeah.
Other MagSafe batteries, including, I believe, Apple's original MagSafe battery, have this plastic casing, sometimes aluminum, depending on the battery. And then the magnet portion is this physical magnetic section, and it kind of moves. It's kind of like a refrigerator door. You'll never see it move. But when it attaches to the phone, it kind of grabs outwardly. It must be on some sort of spring mechanism. I might be making this up, but it seems to be that. Anyway, there is none of that with the Apple okay. This is what it's called. It's called the iPhone Air MagSafe battery.
Okay.
The original battery was called the MagSafe battery pack. So they are distinct products. But so the iPhone Air MagSafe battery is thinner, lighter, very light, smooth, silk touch, silicon cover. It seems to be, and the flat side that sticks to the phone has no visible magnet or even like traced outline. Nothing. It's just a white blank, and that was interesting to me. So I got this because it's a MagSafe battery, and I thought it was cool, and it cost way too much money, and it was stupid that I even ordered it. But I wanted to see what it would do with other devices, and of course, it all depends on where the magnets are. And I was like, I know what they did, but I need to see it. And of course, they did the thing. The MagSafe battery, the MagSafe magnets are lower in the battery than other MagSafe batteries, so the top will collide with any other device's camera bump other than the iPhone Air. And I have a photo of it in this little thing I did on it, of it just resting against the 3 cameras system on the back of an iPhone 16 Pro. Very frustrating. Funny enough, though, it thinks that it's connected, and it might actually be syncing power across that air gap. Don't recommend it. You're wasting all of your battery doing that. But you can cheat the system, because MagSafe actually does only provide power through the ring portion. The bottom vertical line is just a stabilizing magnet. So you can just rotate the battery horizontally and have it sticking out of the side of your phone, and it will charge your phone.
Okay, right. Look at the thoroughness of information on this podcast. The detail.
You can charge over the USB-C port as well.
Oh, I didn't know there was USB. Okay, so that was good. That was useful. But we're still talking about a battery for a phone you haven't got. Let's go back to, you said you had something to say about the actual iPhone 17.
Well, see, now you're bouncing around. One last thing is,
okay.
So the battery is very silly. It's the original MagSafe battery pack had a higher voltage delivery, so it actually doubled the effective milliamp hours. This is all weird science stuff, don't worry about it. They actually put the proper voltage capacity, one cell basically. It's just one very giant battery cell in this one, so it has the similar voltage as the iPhone. So the milliamp hours on the back of this are actually accurate, and it's about 3149, something like that. Well, that's not very much. It's about 60% of an iPhone Air battery. And then you look at third parties, and they're offering 5,000 milliamp hour Qi 2 spec. I reviewed these Basis MagSafe batteries, and I only bring them up because there's a million like them. These Basis ones are fine. They're the ones I actually tested. They have this aluminum casing. It keeps it cool, whatever. They're fine. But interestingly, I've had these for a while. We're supposed to be done a while ago. I haven't had time. And then Apple announced this stuff. I'm like, wait, I need to write about this now, because they had this super slim battery that's only like half a millimeter thicker. Like it's almost imperceptibly thicker than Apple's, but it's aluminum. It's a little heavier. It's 5,000 milliamp hours, but effectively closer to 3,000 because of Qi inefficiencies. I don't know if Apple accounts for that when they're rating or not, but that's not important. You're getting a similar charge, but it's smaller because it fits any iPhone. It's not tall. So I just found that interesting, and it's also like $25 so that spec and that size. So I just find it all very, very funny. Go buy something else. Don't. I mean, if you have an iPhone Air and you really want the accessory that pairs with it, that is just this beautiful object, sure, go for it. Everyone else, go buy a different battery that is probably cheaper and better in every meaningful way. But your question about the iPhone 17.
Right, I'm sorry. I was just thinking I had not one thin clue. There was so much to say about magnets, although actually I should say I have a little story about the original Apple MagSafe battery, but we might save that for Apple Insider Plus, which you should point out is the ad-free extended version of this podcast, and as well as not getting ads and getting more, you join Wes and I for the kind of non-newsy part where we talk about obviously Apple stuff. That's what we're all into, that's what we're all using, that's what we're all depending on, and occasionally looking a little bit further ahead into the future, such as today when we'll be talking about AR, particularly after Meta's released its glasses. But along the way, as long as I don't forget, I will tell you an embarrassing story about the original MagSafe battery that I would rather we kept between us. Okay, but that's coming up. iPhone 17, you're right, I did ask. Do I regret asking? I'm not sure. Hit me.
Well,
what have you got?
So one last little tidbit here. It's just observations watching the rest of the tech world operate as we wait for these devices. So we've seen a lot of commentary, a lot of sleuthing going on. This feels very similar to trying to get information out of an invite logo, right? People are looking at how long it takes for devices to extend their availability past the release day, and then say how popular that device is based on that. And the reason why I bring this up is because everyone's like, iPhone Air must not be selling at all. It's still available for release day. You can get an iPhone Air 256 in blue, and you can walk into an Apple store and pick it up on Friday. And that must be a sign that no one is buying this device. I don't think that's right. I mean, okay. It is a little bit of it is odd. We have seen this before with other products, but we also have no information, right? That is one piece of such a large thing that is unintelligible. We don't know how many Apple had ready in each color, in each configuration. We don't know how many people have ordered. We don't know if their supply chain is able to keep up with demand on this particular product. Maybe they dedicated more lines to this specific device because they were expecting it to sell more. Probably not. Or is this a total flop and no one's buying it? Honestly, I understand the signs that people are reading, but I'm not fully buying into it because external to that data, everything from the layman's world of non-tech people, this is the device. Right? There are people like, well, if I get the iPhone 17, it's $40 a month on the iPhone upgrade program. But if I get the iPhone Air, it's $50 a month. I can afford $10. What is that? One coffee? Right? Like, that is the kind of conversation I'm hearing from people. And this is, I think Apple might have known that this might be a big one, and they might have front-loaded. But there, again, my argument sounds just as plausible as no one's buying it based on the data. We just don't know. So I wouldn't read into that too much.
Well, the thing is, every year we check this because I suppose if nothing's sold, it just always amuses me that the iPhone Pro Max model goes on back order like instantaneously for it. And because given that in the end we learned that that's always the most popular version, at least in the initial months of it, you would expect Apple would make enough of those for it, but there's got to be a physical limit, and maybe it's hitting it. But you said then about people saying, well, I can go into a shop and buy one. Well, you can, because Apple always has a totally separate stock supply. Like you said, for regions, it does for the stores. So I am genuinely thinking of going into an Apple store just to see these things in person. And I won't do it on Friday, but I could. You're right.
iPhone Air fixes another problem that Apple doesn't have. This, we can transition now into the reviews, but because I don't want to spend a lot of time here. We covered all of the incoming reviews. We have an AirPods Pro 3 review up as we record. I believe we're going to have something iPhone related that was embargoed. Keep it secret, William, until we publish.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have one, so it doesn't. I'm not doing any. But yeah. Yeah, we're publishing this as this is going to come out, I'm sure. So it's all fine, whatever. But we're going to have something up on some kind of iPhone at some point this weekend, and going into next week, we're going to actually get some real hands-on with some of these other devices. I know I'm going to be doing the Pro Max review. I'm going to be helping with some iPhone Air related stuff. But I wanted to, backing out of that segue, I wanted to mention the iPhone Air solves a different problem for Apple. It's the name.
Okay, I'm just thinking, sorry, next week I'll be bringing the tea then while all of you with new phones doing things. It solves the naming problem, does it? Does it not actually create one?
No, I think it actually, this is actually very beneficial because, again, I'm just one guy and I can only talk to so many people, but the people I talked to over the last decade of talking about iPhones in general, what I've heard consistently over time is, I'm not a pro. I don't need a pro phone.
Oh, I see. Okay. I thought you were going with the numbering system. That makes sense. Yeah.
And I think that iPhone Air is unique in the fact that it evokes MacBook Air, iPad Air. People buy those. Very popular, actually. I think the iPad Air probably just noses out the iPad Pro 11-inch now that it has two options. I'm pretty sure that no one's buying the 13-inch iPad Air. If they're spending that much money, they're going to the 13-inch iPad Pro, but that's besides the point.
I could talk to you about that. I've been looking into exactly that, but ask me that later. Yeah.
So the iPhone Air, though, this is interesting. It's that price ladder effect that we keep talking about. It's moderately more expensive. Comes with 256 gigs of storage at $999, which used to be the Pro price, but nobody cares about that. iPhone 17 is just below that, but that $200 difference is $10 a month-ish in monthly payments.
Right.
And people think that way. And I think looking at this iPhone Air, it's different. Once you hold it, from all the reviews, everything I've heard is looking at it doesn't help. Once you hold this thing, it changes your mind instantly.
Right.
Because it is so thin and so light. It doesn't matter that it has a large display. It just slips into any pocket. Even people who have terrible pockets can just slip this into their pocket. And because it's just so small, they don't have to worry about it bending. I saw a video yesterday of one of Apple's test devices that puts a weight directly down the center, like a karate chop of this iPhone Air, and it's fully bowing the device like a quarter, like a half inch or more, and then letting off of the phone, and it re-springs back to its normal state. No cracks, no nothing. It's an incredibly durable device, seemingly. And I checked all of the suspect YouTubers yesterday and today.
Right.
None of them have posted a video of them crying, straining, trying to break this phone in half. So either Apple didn't give them one, which is plausible, or this thing is harder to break than even they expect. So,
right. So I'm laughing because I can just remember every year there's the. I broke my £2,000 iPad just for you, says a YouTuber. Yeah. I thought, yeah, right. I didn't ask you. Off you go. Okay.
I went to the main suspect, Unbox Therapy, and he's like talking about cars and stuff. So I don't even know what's going on over there. But like, yeah, like they're all posting like, here's how I broke the Samsung Galaxy Fold, and there's still no iPhone Air video. So I wonder if it's just harder to break. I wonder if maybe it's just Apple didn't let them have any, and it's getting increasingly difficult to land these things, especially if it's a review unit. You can't just break a review unit in half. So I'll check again as these things arrive around the world. Australia's going to be first. They're the first ones on the geological clock, right? So we'll be seeing those tonight coming in, and that'll be fun. And surely someone will hand it to a kangaroo, and we'll see what happens. But
okay. You mentioned reviews there, so I don't want to spend too long on reviews because we've talked about the main people. But something I really liked is that Malcolm Owen on AppleInsider and I both took it in turns to cover all of the reviews to see what the whole spread of things were. And there were raves, there were a couple of shrugs, but it was mostly all incredibly positive. But there were also certain common themes that came out that I thought raised interesting issues. For example, everyone who reviewed the iPhone 17 Pro Max said it's the greatest phone ever made. But then everyone who reviewed the iPhone 17 said, why would you buy anything else? It feels like this year more than ever, I think I've thought this before, just when Apple was announcing it, that Apple has made the base model unusually
really good
this year. I mean, I used to have trouble. I would spend a while thinking about, did I want to go Pro or not? And it was usually the smallest thing that persuaded me to go Pro. This time, well, I obviously didn't go for anything, but this time, I don't know. Is this like a new policy, or have Apple run out of Pro features to separate the phones?
This happens every 3 years or so. Again, I think our short-term memory just forgets it, but we'll have
Who are you again? Right. Sorry.
We'll have a year that the iPhone base will have very good feature parity with the iPhone Pro. And then in the next 2 years, the Pro is going to run way ahead of the base iPhone. And then it rubber bands back as these things go down. This year just happened to be an especially good year because ProMotion was such a long-awaited thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just... I think it's a good device. I think it's a good buy. But I think that's what's so interesting about this lineup is it is so good, but... people harping on the battery don't understand users, all right? The iPhone, like, I saw yesterday one of these publications posting the first iPhone battery test is up on YouTube, and it's one of those ones where they just put them all on a table and turn off display lock and, like, run a 24-hour video on YouTube and see which one's battery drains for. Again, it's just, it's... entertainment, but it's completely useless metric-wise. They all turned on for a while and then turned off. Great. Good information. What does it actually mean? People use their phones. Some people use them more than others. These tests are useless. Unless you can do a test that says, Wesley Hilliard, your phone will die after these many hours of using your configuration, these apps that you have installed, these notification settings, and these battery conditions at your temperature and humidity, then great, I will tune into that weirdly stalker-level video. But that's not how these things are made. And these general battery tests are borderline useless. What the reality is someone's going to go buy an iPhone 17, and they're going to scroll TikTok for 4 hours, and the battery's going to die. And then they're going to go buy the iPhone Air, and they're going to scroll TikTok for 3 hours and 45 minutes, and then their battery's going to die. So I don't think that's really the important thing. I've seen a lot of these reviews saying, well, if you want more battery life and more camera functions, you get the iPhone 17. It's like, but really? No. I was talking to my fiance about this yesterday. I'm sorry I keep bringing her up, but it's an interesting metric because we're upgrading her phone from a 15, and this is all new to her. So I'm doing a lot of explaining with her lately, so sorry if I keep bringing her up.
No, this is good. I didn't know she's coming from a 15, so that's quite a difference. Yeah. How was that done?
So I'm explaining some of the differences she's going to notice. Battery life should be the same, if not better, for her, funny enough, especially on an older 15 coming to a new Air. So she might actually get more battery coming from that device because the iPhone Air is closer to an iPhone 16 Pro level battery as far as our ratings go, as far as Apple says anyway. The display's bigger, obviously. We're no bottom speaker. It's only the earpiece speaker that you get in this phone. And you're also getting one camera instead of two. And I was showing her, I posted this on Blue Sky. Maybe we'll put it in show notes. I was taking a photo of my cat on the couch, one of my silly cats. And he was just sitting there, and I was the perfect distance and perfect lighting in a dim room that I showed her. I was like, all right, look, this is the main camera. Taken at this distance. It's fine. The main camera can focus. Here's the cat. Bam. But if I get any closer, it's going to try to switch to that ultra wide. And then you see the little flower pop up in the corner. And then I show her, I turned it off. I was like, here's the main camera still trying to focus. Obviously, it's getting blurry. And then that's when the cat stuck its entire nose in the camera. And I got a pretty good picture of him out of focus very close. But that's the point. You don't get that close-up range anymore because it's only about 6 inches, I think. But from about 6 inches from an object inward, the iPhone's not going to be able to focus with a single camera because that ultra-wide is what provided that super close focus cropped into that sensor. So if you're taking a lot of photos of objects like that very close, like if you're a person who takes photos of their dinner at a restaurant or a coffee, you're going to probably get a little frustrated that you're going to have to get a little further away from your plate and then crop in manually and when you're editing. Like that is one challenge you're going to have to overcome if that is something you're going to encounter. And she told me, it's like, I don't even notice that this happens. Maybe I will once I get to the new phone, but I never intentionally use that lens. So I found that interesting.
This episode is brought to you by Open Case. Tired of your MagSafe accessories slipping around or sliding off, especially when moving in and out of pockets? Open Case is an iPhone case with a literal open space on the back to hold MagSafe accessories more securely in place while creating a thinner profile and lighter weight than traditional cases. This unique cutout allows MagSafe accessories to adhere directly to the back of the phone, cradling your accessory of choice in place with a lip that the cutout naturally creates. No more catching on jean pockets, bags or jackets. Wireless batteries, Apple wallets and other accessories will adhere straight to the phone, back through that open space with Open Case. Plus, most cases entirely cover up the phone and you spent all that time choosing a colour. Open Case gives you case protection, but it still lets you always see and appreciate Apple's design. Then, in addition to the patented phone case, they have a suite of products that work specifically with their design or any iPhone with MagSafe. And it's not just Open Case products that work with the case. As long as the accessory shares the same footprint or smaller as the open space, it should fit. You don't need to worry about the case being compatible with only one brand of accessories. Go now to theopencase.com and use promo code AppleInsider for 10% off. That's opencase.com and promo code AppleInsider for 10% off. And thanks to Open Case for supporting the Apple Insider podcast. You're actually convincing me. I was a little down on the, I nearly called it the iPhone 17 Slim there. Where do these names come from? The iPhone Air. Because I thought it looks very impressive and I'm sure holding it would be great. But it seemed very clear to me that the benefits of the 17 for less money and the benefits of the Pro for more money meant it was sort of no man's land in the middle. But now you change your mind and actually I start to think that there's a very clear distinction between the different phones. There isn't so with the watches. Because remember, I said we would do this thing of looking at all the reviews. I think it was consistent across the Apple Watch Series 11 and the Apple Watch SE 3 was that the Apple Watch SE 3 is now so good, maybe the 11 is kind of struggling to find its place. Do you think that's not true?
Well, one last comment on the Air, and I'll hush. I wanted to say, if you're in a vacuum reviewing the iPhone 17s and the iPhone Air will look compromised compared to the others. But if you're with the rest of the world who don't own an iPhone 17, it's going to be an upgrade for almost anyone coming from any other device, depending on, except maybe iPhone 16 Pro, just saying. All right, but moving on to iPhone Air, the Apple Watch lineup is, I agree, very odd. The Ultra 3 had very strong reviews because the display being bigger on a similar sized device, the battery life being just insane, 42 hours pretty much. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I don't know how I feel about that. If I'm going to still charge every day or just this is getting to that weird territory. I've discussed it before. If I don't charge every day, I'm going to forget to charge. Oh,
true. Yes. Good point.
Okay. Right. And I never had an issue with my Series 10 dying because I charged it every day. I put it on the charger when I shower, and I guess I'm still going to do that because I'm not going to shower with my watch on. So, fine, problem solved, but it's just one of those things where I guess there have been those moments where I charged it the day before while I was in the shower, got up early, went out for a whole thing in the wilderness where there's no good signal, so all the cellulars are at full blast all day, and maybe it recorded a walking workout, and by the time I get home, I'm in the red, or I'm driving home and my battery dies. And I've had that happen on sparse occasion, but it has happened. That just can't happen with the Ultra, so sure, I will get some advantage from this, but I just find it interesting, like how much further do battery life need to go before it becomes just moot, right? People are like, I want a week-long battery. It's like, no, you don't. Like, you don't need that. You would prefer the device be thinner and lighter than have an all-week battery life, I promise you. But back to your question, Apple Watch SE and 11, I do think they're distinct, but in ways that people aren't going to fully understand. And I think it's totally fine that people just say, all right, well, I'm going to buy the cheaper one, because that's how this works. But you are losing a lot of health metrics doing that. And I think some of them are important health metrics, right? Like if you see that commercial or ad or whatever, see some Instagram influencer talking about Apple Watch being able to tell you when you've ovulated.
Yeah.
But you can't do that with an Apple Watch SE 3, right? So there's still reasons to buy the mainline Apple Watch, but then I don't think it's a discussion of should I buy the Apple Watch SE 3 or the Apple Watch 11? I think the discussion is should I buy the Apple Watch SE 3 or the Apple Watch Series 9 or the Apple Watch Series 10?
Okay.
Do I want, right? Because do I want all of the health features of the Series 9 or do I want the more modern chipset, gestures, basic tracking stuff, and a newer device that's going to get supported for longer in the series, in the SE3. So I think that's more of the discussion. The Series 11 is in kind of a hole right now. Series 10 owners shouldn't update to it. Series 9 owners probably shouldn't either. I don't know. It's an odd device. For anyone going from like a series device to an ultra device, this is the year to do it. But series to series, if you're on Series 8, I would go Series 11. You're not going to go Series 6 to SE3. I don't think that makes sense. You can, but this is where it gets tough. If you have an SE2, you're obviously buying an SE3. If you have a Series 7, you should probably get Series 11 because you are losing things in that transition if you don't get the Series Watch.
You can get so lost in the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of a side point, something that Apple talks a lot about that is in the Series 11, that is in the Apple Watch Ultra 3, the hypertension detection. I only learnt today from an Apple support document that it's not on by default. You have to positively choose to go into the health app on your iPhone, find the health metrics section, scroll to it, turn it on, and then answer, are you over 22? Are you not pregnant? And then it will let you do it. It seems to me that unless you are concerned... Oh, you mustn't have been previously diagnosed with hypertension. So unless you have a suspicion that you might have it, I don't think you're going to go looking through this deliberately to turn it on. And it's not like it's in the way of anything else you would go to switch on either. So I don't think that feature is going to get used as much as Apple thought.
Well... yes and no. Apple advertises this stuff pretty heavily.
Oh, true.
I would like to hope that the people spending the money on this device do the bare minimum of what does Apple Watch do? And right now, the number one result is going to be Apple introduces hypertension, right? So Apple doesn't introduce hypertension, but they introduce the notification for it anyway. Maybe
yes.
they introduce
sometimes.
hypertension.
Yes. Okay.
With their prices. No. So the thing is, insert joke here. I'm turning it on right now, actually, as we speak, and it is funny that it's in this section. I didn't know that it needed turned on, so now I have turned it on. But it takes 30
but hang
days.
on. Moments ago, you said Apple advertises this incredibly, and so they do. But what they advertise is everybody's into the health stuff, and most people passing by will be aware this feature is there, but I don't think anyone would expect it to be turned off by default. It's like there is the fall detection, which is optional unless you're over 55, 60, I can't remember the age, and then it defaults to being on. I don't know why this can't be a default.
Well, so there's so many levels here. My assumption is it's off right now by default because they haven't set it up in the UI, right? My guess is a 0.1, 0.2 update. So many Apple health things are questionnaires, and they just pop up and say, hey, did you know that your health app can do this? Now, it requires you to open the health app, and maybe you'll get a notification on the lock screen, but then that requires you to have notifications turned on. But those are on by default. So again, there's so many steps to this, but theoretically, the average user won't have turned off notifications, and they will one day get a notification after an update during onboarding saying, Apple Health just turned on hypertension detection. Did you know that this kills so many people because of your heart? Do you want to turn this on? Are you pregnant, by the way? And done. And now it's on. And what's really cool is you go in the health app, and there's the summary section is where it opens up to normally. And that is also where they hide notifications for features. Hey, did you know you can track this? Hey, if you're someone who gets periods, you can track it here, right? Like that kind of stuff is there. I also just noticed in the heart section, there's a new notification. Blood pressure log. Logging your blood pressure can give you and your doctor important information about your heart health. I said I wanted to do this last week. Now I want to do it more. I'm going to go find one of those straightforward, maybe not even a smart one. If I can get a Bluetooth one for not money, like not anything crazy, I might get one. I know iHealth makes these. I have an iHealth scale to measure my weight. So I'll look into iHealth to see if they have a decently priced blood pressure monitor, because I kind of just want to do this to see how it all fits together. But back to the original topic, and I'm glad that it notifies me of that, because it's like, oh, you can log your blood pressure in here. I have, family members who are older and go through a lot of state programs for medical stuff. And one of the things that they get is this card that lets you go buy prescription medicine using designated money on the card for prescriptions in certain groceries. Huh. It's a program in the States. I'm in Tennessee. I don't know where it is universally, but it's kind of another half of the food stamp program. Anyway. And one of the things you can buy is blood pressure monitors and stuff like that, but they also send you like a box of stuff. They'll just randomly send you like kits, health kits with like bandages and medicines, and sometimes they'll send like blood pressure monitors and stuff like that. But anyway, like that's the kind of stuff I run into a lot. And so it wouldn't be surprising to me that someone who's concerned about hypertension might already have this equipment in their home, because this government will just give it to you sometimes. And they'll say, hey, in the health app, do you have a way to track your blood pressure? Go take it and then write it down here, and then doctors can help you, right? That's the whole thing here with the health app. Apple's working on making it more proactive, and I think their Apple Intelligence in the future will get more interactive and tell you like, hey, go open that health app and be more healthy. But for now, at least it's there, and it is being useful in that way. It's trying to be informative, and I think the people concerned about this stuff go seek it out more than we think.
Okay, that's all right. Yes, I'm mollified by that. That makes sense. This episode is brought to you by Clean My Mac from MacPaw. Clean My Mac is on my Mac Studio in my office and on my MacBook Pro on the road, and it helps me keep kind of tidy, really. It helps me get rid of accumulated junk that I no longer need, and so it helps me manage with the fact that really I don't have enough storage on either machine. But it also does exactly this on iCloud and OneDrive and Google Drive. Clean My Mac scans whichever of these cloud storage services you use and does precisely the same thing of looking for large, unused, space-wasting files. It finds them whether they're synced or not. It finds them and then gives you control over what to do with them. You can tell Clean My Mac to delete these files, of course, but then there's also the fact that you could decide you don't want the files taking up cloud storage space, yet you do want them left on your device's own internal storage. Every time I run Clean My Mac, I do it because I'm short on space. And every time I run it, I get back gigabytes of storage. But I get them back now both on my Macs and in my iCloud. It does this for me, and it can do it for you. Get tidy today. Try 7 days free and use my code AppleInsider20, AppleInsider20, for 20% off at cleanmy.com/AppleInsiderPodcast. I need to spell that out, don't I? That's CLNMY.com/AppleInsiderPodcast. And thanks to MacPaw for supporting the Apple Insider Podcast. We talked a lot up there about, there was just software and health and stuff. And previously in this hour, we've talked about the sales of things. One of the things that I always turn to you about is photography on the iPhones. I make a lot of videos, but I don't take a lot of photographs, and I truly get very confused about different lenses and things, whereas you obviously do a lot more than me. I understand that there's a problem, though, with the iPhone Air and the iPhone 17 Pro cameras that needs some sort of fix. Can you explain that? Am I right?
Something in the software got bugged, and it's not across every device. Only a couple of reviewers. I believe the only one we found was from CNN. But a couple of review units were showing signs of being overwhelmed by certain light fixtures and creating light bars and black squares inside of photos taken. Especially like this example was at a concert. A giant LED backlit display kind of broke in the image. So Apple's just going to issue a software fix to take care of that. Probably a day one patch, if I had to guess.
It amazes me what can be fixed in software patches. This is why I'm a software guy more than a hardware one. But this would also be why I didn't actually know until I think you told me about this, that there's yet another photographic style on iOS 26. I don't tend to use photographic styles. Should I be using whatever this new one is?
Well, I highly recommend everyone go to the camera settings app, camera section, photographic style default setting, which everyone should be set to, I believe, is standard by default, with it perfectly 0, in the center. Go there and play around with it and set your favorite, because don't make it something crazy, because then all your photos are going to be garbage.
Yeah.
And some of them are tonally wild. Like, I wouldn't set mine to rose gold with the saturation and brightness turned up. It would just make all my photos look like a circus. I don't know. Like, it just wouldn't make sense. I have used rose gold in the past on select photos because I think it makes it nicer, but it's not a default I would use. My favorite defaults, what I had it before was neutral, which kind of is tonally balanced, not really pumping up anything too significant in any particular way, and keeping skin tones and shadows, all very middling. And I liked that. It was standard is more poppy, because Apple's base photographic pipeline tends to brighten shadows in ways that I don't like, and tends to do funny things to certain colors and tones. I preferred the neutral option, but I think I have a new favorite, and this is the new bright photographic style. And I'm happy too, because this is a new default style. There's two sets of photographic styles. There's the ones you can set as defaults, and then there's a range of what Apple considers, like, I think, artistic styles, which is usually where I go when I'm editing. I shoot in the default, and then if I edit a photo, I test it out in the artistic styles, and sometimes pick one. I really like dramatic. I was always a fan of the dramatic filter in Apple's photo filter section, and now I'm actually a fan of, it's kind of this deep black blue tone shift kind of thing that really helps in some portraiture. But generally speaking, on the artistic side, I'll go to I believe is what is called natural, which is not neutral, but it's another nice tonal plane anyway. But shooting wise, bright seems to be a kind of it's very focused on skin tone, keeping it natural and neutral, and so it might appear a little darker than something like than the natural tone. There's so many words here. It comes in a little bit more natural looking. It doesn't brighten up the face as much, but the scenery around skin gets a little bit more punch to it. And if you go, so what I do is actually make it saturation plus 25, tone minus 50 in bright, and that's what I've been using to play around with since iOS 26 came out.
I don't know how to ask this without sounding rude, but is there a photographic style called off? I would like to shoot something and then I'll muck about with it in post, kind of thing, rather than risk.
Well, you say that, but here's the thing: is photographic styles give us something that we've never had before, and that's control.
Right.
Before, Apple would just tell us what a photo should look like, and here's your photo. And that's why my iPhone 16 Pro Max review was all about photographic styles, because they were reversible now, and I find them so important, and I really want people to take them seriously. They're not filters. They are a complete human access to the algorithmic change to your photo that is reversible as you're taking the photo. And I find that so important, because now instead of taking an iPhone photo, you're taking your photo, which I think there's a distinction there. Tyler Stallman did his iPhone review, his camera review. He's a photographer, and he does pretty good videos. Wasn't as in-depth as I would have liked. Like, I'm still waiting on Austin Mann, who does a really amazing... Yeah. He's probably gone to some Antarctica or something to shoot photos, but, like, I'm very excited for that one. But Tyler Stallman did a really good job. And he discussed this too. He likes it, photographic styles, for the fact that he can make iPhone photos come out closer to an edited end result that looks like a photo that he's taken and graded, right? It looks like a camera took the photo. And then I think he takes it a step further, though, because there's multiple options. He likes the lossy DNG format that Apple invented for the Pro Max last year that came to the 17 Pro. If you shoot in that format, you don't get photographic style. So it is a choice. You have to be shooting in straight HEIF in order to get these. But I will say, if you haven't tried these, go through the process, set up a default, try it on a few pictures, and remember, you can always switch it back to standard if you don't like it.
Actually, you saying that about start trying it out and people not trying it out, I realise as this goes out, macOS Tahoe, iOS 26, iPadOS 26, and WatchOS 26, all of them, they've been out for about 5 days, but there have got to be people who haven't updated yet. Sometimes from the sensible thing of let's let everybody else do it and find the problems and that Apple will fix them afterwards. Others, because they just haven't got round to it. Others, because I think, maybe, is it worth it or not? What is the point for it? We have all been spending a huge amount of time in the beta version, so we know this stuff really well. I'm going to go straight out with my favourite one, the Mac. Well, the one I've used the most is the Mac. Absolutely should you upgrade to it. The iPad is stunning. The iPhone is great. Well, I'm just going to saying yes, update. But I mentioned the iPad there. And earlier on we talked about iPad Airs things, and I genuinely have. I spent an hour in the Apple Store last weekend looking at the iPad Air 13-inch and the iPad Pro 13-inch for it. People who have not updated anything yet, would you say the iPadOS is the most dramatic difference and they should run? If you haven't got an iPad, buy an iPad in order to get this. What would you say?
For iPadOS 26. So here's the thing. I've seen people on the internet saying, I'm never updating again. I'm going to hold on to slide over until this iPad catches on fire, and then I'm not buying an iPad.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, like they're being very dramatic. So my answer to that is stop it. This feature is actually really nice. All right, so the first thing I did on update day was I went to my mom's house and updated her phone, her TV, her watch, and her iPad. Yes, she has all that stuff because I gave it to her.
You did tell her. You didn't just sneak in and update everything
when
she
wasn't
looking.
It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I told her I was going to do it. She doesn't care. So
Okay.
iPad Air, it came up with the thing of, hey, there's multitasking. I went to settings and said, nope, turn it off. Guess what? It still opens up apps in full screen mode, and she doesn't know any wiser, and she's very happy with the updates, by the way.
Wait. You have denied her the best new feature.
Yeah, she doesn't want it. So the people who don't want it,
did you previously save her from Stage Manager? Because I'd be with you on that one.
Well, can't really have it without... She doesn't have a Magic Keyboard, so...
Okay.
Not really something she'd deal with, and multitasking would just confuse her. So yeah, just turn it off. Now, for the people who want multitasking, who like slide over, I'm sorry it's gone, but you don't need it. If you like the idea of slide over, I think you would actually really enjoy Stage Manager now, because now you can have multiple stages with multiple apps designed in the ways that you want them, and you can just swipe between them. It's actually better than macOS, because macOS doesn't let you swipe between stages, which is still so frustrating. I don't know why they don't let you do that. That's just a big ding on the Mac for me. But
yeah, I can live with that one because Stage Manager is the big ding for me.
Yeah.
But no.
You like spaces, and spaces are fine. Yes. They're just not for me. If iPad had spaces, I probably wouldn't use it. The thing is yes, I would say if you have an iPad, especially if you have a Magic Keyboard, especially if you use an external monitor, go update right now. It is the best thing Apple's ever done to iPadOS, hands down. It is so well done. The cursor is great. The way everything interacts is great. Windowing is awesome. You do have to learn, right? Just like with anything, you have to figure out what the buttons do and what you press and when. I am so tired of hearing the word, it's not intuitive. Well, nothing is intuitive. You had to learn to tie your shoes, okay? Like, get over it. You have to learn. And it's fairly easy to learn. You just have to bother, right? People are just so uninterested in bothering anything these days. It drives me insane, but that's a different topic. I'd say yes. I'd say go update. It's a good update. It's sturdy. It's got a lot going on for it, and I'm very excited to see apps start taking advantage, especially when it comes to things like podcasting or gaming and stuff like that. There's a lot here. And speaking of updates, I wanted to close out this OS section with a question. Have you seen your apps updating for iOS 26 or Mac OS or whatever? And have you seen them implementing Apple Intelligence features?
Well, funny you should say that. Yes. The Omni Group Omni Group is doing it really cleverly. They're not forcing on you as a feature, but Omni has long had this incredibly interesting thing called Omni Automation that if, for example, Omni Focus, the to-do app, doesn't happen to do something you like, which honestly I think is very hard to imagine, but it happens, you can create it yourself using this automation tool. They have made available, or are in the process of making available, Apple Intelligence via that. And so this week I tried that out, and it's astonishingly impressive. I thought, why would I ever want AI to help me with to-do apps? But I looked at it, and I'm doing a writing retreat. I'm going to Paris, funnily enough. Side point, I'm going to Paris, and because of iPadOS 26, I'm only taking my iPad for it, so I'm very pro 26. But as part of it, there's all sorts of things to work out with it, and I just put a task in OmniFocus, plan writing retreat, hit the button, and it gave me a pile of suggestions of what to do. I don't know that I'll follow any of them, but they were there, and they've made me think about what I do want. So, it's the only one so far, but OmniGroup has changed my mind about Apple Intelligence inside apps.
Well, it's very early days, and this is one of those things that over time, these initial features especially are just going to seem quaint because developers are going to start realizing, like, oh, I can just do this with Apple Intelligence. Carrot Weather was one of the first ones, and they just swapped out their integrations with, I believe, ChatGPT with Apple Intelligence, and now you don't need any tokens. You can just use.
Oh, right, that's good.
You can talk with the smarmy weather bot as much as you want. And
okay.
And as entertaining as that might be. And there's also a musical in the app now. Go check it out. So I think I've seen a lot of apps, drafts. I've seen Mr. Tortoise talk about how he's going to, the next update is going to be a feature update with, he's potentially aiming for integrating drafts actions with Apple Intelligence, which would be very interesting, I think.
Yeah.
Because I use draft actions to do very simple things like replacing links and stuff like that. So Drafts is already talking about it. I've seen a lot of apps just throwing it in as a way to gather data or understand information, provide prompts. Like, it's very early, but it's going to be so important as we go forward. And one of the things I hadn't tried during the beta period because I'm not that worried about AI stuff. But I was looking at it the other day for whatever I was just prompted to. In the shortcuts gallery, Apple provides examples. And one of the examples Apple provides in iOS 26 is a morning summary. Now, I remember people like Federico Vitici back when he still does these super crazy convoluted shortcuts, but I think he just talks about them less now. It's more of his newsletter thing. But there was a time when it seemed to be everyone was interested in getting a morning routine shortcut put together where they would hit a button in shortcuts or run an automation and it would read out this text input of this amalgamation of information. Well, now you don't need to force it to do that. It'll just do it. And Apple actually has that pre-built to check your calendar entries, check the weather for your area, check your reminders, and then give you a text readout, or you can make it read it out vocally if you add the prompt to it, of your day. And it works. And it's fine. It's very okay. It's not perfect because it kind of gets confused on certain things. Like, it keeps calling my Apple Insider, like I have it in my calendar of going to work from this time to this time. And it keeps calling it your AppleInsider meeting today. I'm like, that's an 8-hour meeting. I hope that's... But, it's obviously still trying to interpret things in certain ways, and you can put that... It's an empty prompt field. You can just type whatever you want in there. You can just keep typing up to 1,000 characters of just dialogue to say, hey, this is how you're supposed to act when you read this. I put in there, you're reading this out loud, write this in a way that makes sense, because Apple's defaults to a bulleted list anyway. So I just found it interesting. It's not the biggest utility in the world, but I did set it up so that you're going to love this and hate it. I set it up as an automation using my sleep schedule that when I wake up, according to sleep, when I wake up, for it to fire off my morning routine as an audio readout.
What happens if you wake up in the middle of the night? I don't know, you need the loo, you had coffee too late or something, and you disturb the entire household with your phone shouting out at you.
It would be very funny if that... No, so it's smarter than that.
Maybe not for you, because you're already up, but okay.
The wake up function in sleep is not you literally waking up. It's intelligent around what your wake up time is. Have you silenced or snoozed your alarm? Basically, if you get out of bed at 7 and your alarm's set for 8 and it detects you've taken steps in health, it'll be like, hey, are you awake? Do you want to silence your alarm? And if you hit yes, it'll automatically switch you out of your sleep focus and say that you've woken up. That's kind of what it's doing. It's if you sleep all the way to your alarm and hit snooze, you still haven't woken up. But if you hit stop, you have now woken up, right? So it's a very certain detector. Anyway, So I set this up, and this morning I got a phone call at the minute my alarm was supposed to go off.
Right.
And I answered the phone, and then it popped up and said, would you like to silence your alarm, while the phone was picking up? And I said, silence the alarm. And then the daily routine fired off in the phone call. And here's this little Siri voice reading out this information. There was no way to turn it off, William. It didn't show up as an audio. It didn't show up in Now Playing. It didn't show up in shortcuts. It was just existing now. So I just hung up the phone on this poor person and waited for the minute-long readout to conclude, and then I turned off that automation immediately and then called that person back. So, yes.
Wise. Okay.
Yes. Love it.
Dramatic possibilities there that they could have heard your schedule that included things they shouldn't have. It writes itself.
Very fun.
Because you put this in my mind. Boy, I'll explain what was in my mind earlier as well. Something I found very frustrating in the beta releases of macOS Tahoe in particular, and it appears to have been fixed this week, and I love it, is the phone app on your Mac. The day after I updated, somebody phoned me and I actually couldn't see where my phone was, so I answered it on the Mac, and for the first time, all summer I've been trying this, they couldn't tell the difference. I haven't placed any calls yet, but I've had a couple of them since, and it works, and the fact that I can just forget where the phone is means I can concentrate on the work.
Yes.
Do what I need to do. Absolutely totally love it. But while we were speaking, more or less at the start of this recording, I got a phone call on my Mac that I'm recording from. Despite the phone app not being on, despite everything being on Do Not Disturb as well, still a phone call came through. Now, I was able to dismiss it and you didn't jump, so I figured it wasn't on the recording. But there's a bug somewhere in that poor little phone system. Hopefully that'll get sorted out soon, because it's one of my favourite bits. But then there are so many favourite features that actually we really haven't had time to talk about everything else that's going on. And you can check the show notes, of course, for other bits and pieces that are happening, but there's one. We touched on it before, so we can't let this go. Meta and its new glasses that have, frankly, replaced all Apple Vision Pro forever. Isn't that right, Wes? You're throwing yours away, I can tell.
Well, So we're going to get into it in the after show and in the Apple Insider Plus section. So stick around for that or subscribe if you haven't, because I think this is going to be a good discussion. But I'll preview it here. I don't think these are what we're expecting. I don't think this is the augmented reality future that we're aiming for. And I think Meta is trying to do something completely different than what Apple would actually make. There's a lot to that. We'll get into it. But basically, I'm not saying this because these are Meta glasses or whatever. I'm saying this because they're trying to replace the smartphone. And I don't think, and we've seen so many companies try to do that, and I don't think that's what's going to happen here. I don't think that's going to work. And I find these fascinating. I am very pro augmented reality. I'm very pro augmented reality glasses. I don't think this is it.
That's so curious because I'm less interested in AR than you are. But apart from bits that were quite dull, I enjoyed what I watched of the presentation from Meta.
And I thought it was awful. It's just so bad.
But there was nice photography in there. I mean, it's still, there's no matter what you do, you can't make those glasses look as slim. There was Mark Zuckerberg saying the glasses have to be this, they have to be that. And you look at them and think, well, they're not, are they? But, that's a separate issue. This is starting to veer into opinion stuff, which is, it's not really the exclusive purview of Apple Insider Plus, but it is something we talk on because Apple Insider Plus is about the issues and the future of it rather than actual news. So we will come back to that. Like I say, if you're not already an Apple Insider Plus user, then do please join us through Apple Podcasts Connect or Patreon, which I seem to be able to pronounce more easily. It would be great to have you there. In the meantime, I'd like to thank our sponsors, OpenCase and Clean My Mac from MacPoor. Wes, great talking to you. I love the fact that you let me ask you thick questions about photography. I have some thick questions about iPads. The hour in the Apple store I spent was not enough to decide me on something. So maybe we'll do a personal Apple Insider Plus at some point. If anyone else has personal questions about Apple Insider, or Apple rather, how can they reach you to ask those questions?
So you can reach out. Wes at AppleInsider.com. Always love getting emails from you guys. I got one from someone the other day telling me about the video I referenced in the last episode was the Apple 40-year anniversary video.
Right.
So that was, where they showcase a lot of their design elements, but I think they were more focused on the Mac in that video, of course.
Oh, I remember that now. Yes. I was trying to think about it. Now I've got that one. Yes. Okay. Right.
So that was from someone named, I believe, JT. And then in Apple Podcasts, you can get a hold of us by leaving a review. This week we got a 5-star review from JHN Christop. So I'm guessing John Christop. So John Christopher? Anyway, Apple all the way, 5 stars. Love the Apple-centric discussions. Thank you for that kind review. Always love hearing from everybody. And yes, so you can reach me at email. You can leave us a review. We'll read it here if you leave it on Apple Podcasts. And I'm also very active on Blue Sky. Please reach out. Let us know what you got. I'm excited for my products to arrive tomorrow, but we also want to hear from you. What did you order? What are you upgrading from? What made you buy that new device? We're always excited to hear from you guys, and you're more than welcome to reach out in any way that I mentioned and let us know.
Actually, could I suggest writing to me, William at AppleInsider.com, if you didn't buy anything? I'm not against any of the items here. It's just none were right for me at this time for it. So I'd be curious to know what it was like for you as well. But in the meantime, thank you very much to our sponsors, OpenCase and Clean My Mac by MacPoor. And Wes and I will be back next week.
Yep, talk then.